So as far as the Patriot movement, and that's what LWN is, we are part of many patriots out there searching for the truth and delivering the news like it should be delivered. All right, LWN, how do you protect yourself in these uncertain times? Well, Miles Franklin Precious Metals Investments can help. I can help you. You can reach out to me directly at lwnreloaded@gmail.com. I am now a licensed broker for Miles Franklin. I can help you with your 401ks, your pension funds, any purchases of precious metals. We buy, sell, and store here at Miles Franklin. This week's specials, we have the assorted 10-ounce silver bars while supplies last. Minted design may vary, only $2.25 over spot. We also have the quarter-ounce gold maple leaf coins, kind of scruffy, while supplies last, backdated, may not have the radial lines, only 4% above melt. What a heck of a deal. Again, if you guys would like my help, you can reach out to me at lwnreloaded@gmail.com. All right, LWN, if you don't own silver yet and you'd like to get your hand on a coin or two, how do you get qualified for that? Well, you get qualified by either purchasing a coffee for me sometime in the month of January. The giveaway will be January 30th, 31st, something like that. Or anybody who is purchasing stars on Facebook. That is how you get qualified. That is how you get your hands on some silver. If you can't afford to buy your silver coins yourself, a simple little donation will get your name put in the drawing. And at the end of each and every month, we will draw 2 names and hand out 2 special coins. All right. Welcome back, America. Welcome back to LWN. All right. So I got a friend of mine right here in the great state of Idaho. We've been kind of conversing and helping one another now pretty close to a year, maybe even a little longer than that. I'm not sure. Time goes by really fast. But a lot of you reached out to me and said, LW, what is going on in your state of Idaho? What's going on in Caldwell, Idaho? Pertaining to the school board meeting that just happened a short, I don't know, it was week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago, probably somewhere in that neighborhood. And the school board meeting, they were, I believe, talking about the LGBTQ movement. I really followed a little bit of it, but I wanted to hear from the person that was actually there. So I've invited my friend KAYLA Dunn from the great state of Idaho here to join me this evening in this episode of LWN. So KAYLA, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and click on your camera. Join me here on stage. Welcome back to LWN. And how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm pretty worn down and tired, but I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. How about yourself, LW?
You know what? All I can do, KAYLA, is give God all the glory because He has truly blessed me, and I don't know if I've ever worked harder in my life than I have in the last 30 days. So many people reaching out to me all over the country, wanting to be on LWN. I'm basically recording 2 to 3 and sometimes 4 shows a day.
That's a blessing.
It is a blessing from God. And so LWN is getting ready to really kick off and go at least 5 and 6 days a week. producing shows and putting them out there. And so the message is needing to be heard. There's lots of people that want to hear it, but there are a lot of people to tell the stories, a lot of people that are boots on the ground. And that's what KAYLA Dunn is. KAYLA Dunn is not somebody who sits there and talks about it. KAYLA Dunn is somebody who puts action behind her words. And let me tell you a little bit about KAYLA. So I called her up a few months ago. I wanted to do a prayer day in Boise, Idaho before the elections of 2022. Didn't have enough time. She did try her hardest to get that done. But the thing is I make a phone call and boom, she's calling people, putting stuff together. She's been a huge part of the parents' power movement here in Idaho and other states as well. So this woman is, and she's raising a family. She just had a baby. She's got lots of beautiful ones at home. She's got a wonderful husband. She's always busy. And so I'm just grateful that you were able to carve out a little bit of time here for me and come back on LWN. And let's talk about what happened in Caldwell, Idaho, just a short 2 weeks ago. Let's start off with maybe some of the things that you're working on and how things in life are progressing, and then let's jump into what happened in Caldwell.
Yeah, well, that's a lot. First of all, thank you so much. It's great to have local people telling these stories, and so I really appreciate what you're doing, and I'm thankful to just be able to have the opportunity to support you. I know I've been just a little scattered very lately. I keep telling everyone I have post placenta brain. I'm just trying to get myself together. My baby is 4 months now. She just made 4 months 2 days ago. And yeah, it's been almost close to 2 years. LW has been that long. When I first met you and saw you in Weiser, with that whole situation going on with the pornography in schools.
Yeah.
And so time just flies by. So yeah, I currently live here in Caldwell. And as you've mentioned, I've been boots on the ground. We've been establishing chapters throughout the state of Idaho. I'm the state director for Power to Parent. It's a parental rights organization. Also, I'm just as you know, just a social media influencer, and I'm a conservative activist. And so, but my specialty and my heart is with parental rights and just protecting our children. So how does this all tie into Caldwell? So I currently live in Caldwell. And when I moved to Idaho, I moved to CUNA, and I had met a lot of ladies that were in different school districts. And so I was rallying and organizing different parents in different districts while I was living in CUNA. And the first group that I started to work with was Nampa, and they were working on getting their kids out of masks. And so I started working with them. I eventually moved to Caldwell. As soon as I moved to Caldwell, everyone on my social media, they're reaching out to me saying, hey, we hear you're in Caldwell. Caldwell's in trouble. We have a lot of issues here. However, I was still just establishing all of these different chapters throughout the state. I didn't have the bandwidth to really focus on Caldwell the way that I wanted to, but we did establish a chapter here. So we established a Caldwell chapter. The ladies that run that chapter currently runs the Caldwell School District in support page. We're getting like crazy, a lot of crazy requests, invites. We're being inundated with people trying to get on that page. It's been in existence for over 2.5 years. However, no one was really helping here in Caldwell. And so we went to a few of the school board meetings. We had a lot of issues with the superintendent at that school let me breathe. We had, let me tell you, I talk so, it's not, listen, I'm wired like this without coffee. I'm just totally like, my husband's like, slow down, ADHD brain. Oh, be peaceful, says the Lord. So we established a Caldwell chapter. We didn't have a lot of support. So it was just like 4 or 5 of us going to these school board meetings, taking on the school board. And I say taking them on because, I had parents that were trespassed by the Caldwell School District.
Oh, wow.
I have one of the ladies in my chapter. She is disabled. She has hearing. She wears hearing aids. And she told them I can't wear a mask. Right? I'm physically unable to wear this mask, and I have, a disability, and they still locked her out of the building. She's also a Caldwell parent here living in the district. We've had the cops called on us. This is the same district. I don't know if you were following how the vaccine clinics were going to the schools.
Hmm.
We found out that the health district was involved with the vaccine clinics in the Caldwell School District,
Well,
and no one knew who gave the order for these vaccine buses to go there. So
is this the same school district that Bundy ended up having his issues at a football game as well?
I
Wasn't it
believe so.
it was the
Mhm.
Caldwell School District, I believe. So what kind of things, before we get to 2 weeks ago, what kind of
One
things,
week ago,
or
it was
one
just
week ago,
one week and one day. Yeah.
what things were you guys seeing before a week ago in the Caldwell
Oh,
School District?
so the Caldwell School District have gone on record undercover to talk about ways around teaching critical race theory without calling it critical race theory. We had the issue with the vaccine buses or coming to the school, and we found out that it was a district nurse that made the phone call. So there were some backdoor deals going on to the point where the health district didn't even know that they were signing on to this. They didn't even know they were participating. So we had parents show up to speak at the health district here, or the health district in Nampa, to talk about the dangers of having vaccine clinics at the schools. We were able to get the health district to pull their support. However, the Caldwell School District did tell us that they were going to keep the vaccine buses away from the schools. They lied. And we found out that they were still having Albertsons come to the schools, giving shots to the children on campus. So we've dealt with that. We've had a lot of open meeting violations, or we would call them a lot of open meeting violations. They've gone nowhere. We filed reports or complaints with the state for these open meeting violations with the district attorney. That didn't go anywhere. And, we have a superintendent in the school district right now that's well connected. And I don't know a lot about her besides I know that there is, I believe, agenda that she is trying to push. And I can see her policies, and they're not pro parental rights. So this has been a district that hasn't listened to parents. Some of my leaders in my Caldwell group, they have kids in the district. Their emails are ignored. One of the ladies in our group, her name is Brittany Gish. She actually spoke at the school board meeting. She actually you talk about national news. We were contacted by Fox. They wanted to do some interviews. They interviewed Senator Traco, and they interviewed Brittany Gish along with her daughter, who was in the 6th grade, about how she felt about this policy, which we'll get into in just a moment. But she actually, I identified her. We talked, and we tried our best to support her with limited resources. And she ran for school board here in the Caldwell School District.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't have a high voter turnout, and that's very, very common. And she didn't get the support she needed, even by some of the conservative groups here. And so she was, very, very sad about that, because she's a mom. She has kids in the district. She ran for office. And unfortunately, there's a liberal stronghold here in Caldwell.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy. How with the current administration, how
yeah.
are parents treated at the school board meetings? Are they looked at like the labels and the tags that they've labeled us, which would be
Mhm.
domestic extremist terrorist, that we're horrible people showing up at our child's school district meeting to voice our concerns? What kind of treatment are you guys receiving at these school board meetings?
Well, when I went to the meeting that I spoke about, where we were locked out of the building, and then one of the parents, we were trespassed, or I wasn't trespassed, one of the other parents was trespassed. We were treated like criminals, just straight up criminals. They had the officers come to the door to bar entry. They wouldn't let us in. They wouldn't let us in the building. It just didn't happen. And so we got that treatment firsthand. So we've experienced that. Now, if you talk about this policy, and let's talk about that policy, and that's policy, it's a proposal, 3281. It's the transgender facility proposal, which would allow a child who identify as whatever gender they want to use the bathroom in which they identify with. And that's the policy that was being pushed here in the Caldwell School District. The aftermath of that, we look at some of the news reports, we look at some of the emails being sent back and forth, and they're saying things like angry mob, that this was orchestrated by one of the far right senators. And so that's what they think of us parents. most of the time when you go into the school board meeting, they don't listen to you. There's no feedback. You go there and it seems like you're talking to a brick wall. They're shaking their head.
Yeah.
They're taking notes.
And then
And then they say
they make
goodbye.
sure that they say, Miss Dunn, your 3 minutes is up, and they kill your mic.
That's it.
Let me
That's
say
all.
something again real quick here, because I just did a report on a 17-year-old girl out of California, Southern California. I want my listeners to realize how damaging this agenda that they're pushing is on our children.
Yeah.
17 years old. She worked a job, and then after work, she would go to the YMC gym there in California. She went to the gym to exercise, to swim laps in the pool, and after she was done, she went in and she took a shower. It wasn't uncommon for her to take her 5-year-old sister along with her. Her 5-year-old sister went to gymnastics at this YMC. So she's in there one day last week, and all of a sudden, a grown man, a male, walked into the women's locker room, buck ass naked, went through the shower, into the shower. I don't know what he was doing in there. Anyway, he labeled himself as a transgender female. And, she went to the city council there in that little town of California, and her parents threw a fit about it. She felt exposed, and she felt unsafe, and she felt like this was something very, very dangerous. Now, this is something that you guys are fighting there in Caldwell when they say that they're going to allow any person who labels themselves as a transgender, whether it's male or female, they're making it to where say an 18-year-old boy who is a senior in high school, who claims that he's a woman today, decides to go into the female bathroom or the locker room or anything, and there are maybe underclassmen in there. It doesn't even matter, even if it was other 18-year-old girls or 17-year-old girls or 14, 15, or 16. He is now in that bathroom exposing himself to them, or unbeknown, them exposing themselves to him while he's hiding around the corner or whatever they do. I don't know. So it is very dangerous for our children. It's dangerous psychologically. It's dangerous physically to them. This is the craziest agenda that I have never thought I would ever see in my lifetime.
Can you believe it?
Down the throats of all of us. Me, you, parents, grandparents, children. It's an attack on women. It's an attack on women's sports. We're seeing transgender women's records in collegiate swimming events and all kinds of sporting events. This is an attack on America and
it is
population.
It's an attack, LW, on traditional family values, right? Because the enemy loves to counterfeit everything. He counterfeits marriage. He's counterfeiting gender right now. And that's what's happening. And that's what we're seeing. It's all a counterfeit. And this is an attack on our traditional values. This is an attack on the foundation of this country. And this is a culture war. And that's why a lot of parents, we had over 1,000 people show up. Amen. Everyone put out call to actions. And I put out a call to action on my social media. People were sharing that. Calvary Chapel put out a call to action. Pastor Jack Hibbs, and he's a well-known pastor, he talked about this. We had over 1,000 people. There was like 400 in the building, one in the area, and then there was an overflow room. And then we were in shock because we're not used to seeing people show up to these school board meetings. I get there like an hour and 15 minutes early. There's already like 40 people in line, waiting, ready to support. People were protesting. There was lines and prayers going across the building. You would look up. I looked up, and in the window, while the board meeting's in session, they had posters, and you can see it was kind of spooky. You know, one of my parents looked up and she said, "Look in the window," and they, there were things written on the window such as, don't groom our children and no more pedophiles. And it was just, and they couldn't do anything about it. They were outnumbered because We know what happened in Loudoun County, where the girl was sexually assaulted in the bathroom by someone who identified as female. And he was moved from a different school. And he had committed the same act, the same crime prior. And that's why parents said, no, 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 not here. And so this got a lot of attention. And so this proposal, again, would allow these biological men, because we all know it's crazy because it's never the other way around. I don't know how many teenage girls will say, I identify with being a boy and I want to go into the boy bathroom. Let me take it one step further, LW. I don't know how many female inmates would say, I identify with being a man, move me to the male prison, right?
Yeah.
Of course you want to be.
Yeah, very good point.
And so you have these situations where men in Michigan and California, they're identifying as females and they're being moved to women's prisons and impregnating women in these prisons. Of course they want to be, pardon my French, the only cock in the hen house. Of course they do. I mean, honestly, I would probably say the same thing if I didn't feel comfortable in a male prison. I think I'm a girl.
Let me ask you this question, Kayla. It's been 30 years this year since I was in high school. In high school, you have boys' bathrooms, girls' bathrooms. There were lots of times I'd go into the boys' bathroom and I'd see my science teacher in there, or my football coach in there, right? It's a men's bathroom, boys' bathroom, whatever you want to call it. Same with the females. I'm sure some of the female teachers would be in the girls' bathroom. So this is my question. We're not talking about just teenagers. Does this 13, what did you call it, 1338, is that the number of this proposal? Does this proposal allow staff to identify whatever sexual preference they want to be, sex they want to be? Does that allow staff of the school or the district to also go into these bathrooms with the children as well, or is this just for the kids?
This is only pertaining to the students.
Okay.
But you know what? I mean, but I mean, how long would it take for
exactly
it to, for it to extend
to
some of these teachers? I mean, I think that this is a breeding ground for pedophilia. And this is not a conspiracy. This is happening right before our eyes. As you mentioned, never did I thought that I would be told to look at a biological male and have to respect calling him a female and honor that. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to participate in this delusion. Nope. It's just not going to happen. I remember when I was living in Nevada, I went to, the amazing casino buffets. And so I took my children to the Rio Hotel, and there was a buffet there. And as we were eating, the girl said, my two girls I always told them, go to the restroom in pairs.
Yes.
Just because that's just the way that we operate. And also because of, some of my history with sexual abuse. And so I wanted to make sure my children always went to the restroom in pairs. So they did. They went to the restroom. My youngest one at the time was about 5. She came out of the restroom and she was hysterical. She was crying. What's wrong? I asked her. She said, Mom, there's a man in the bathroom. And I said, are you sure? She says, I'm sure. It looked like he had a wig on, but it was a man. I'm sure. I went crazy. I got up. I mean, like super like hood. Like, where is he at? And I couldn't find him. And then my kids pointed him out. And I went over to this guy's table. Why were you in the restroom with my daughters? And so he identified as a female. I brought it to the staff's attention and they didn't care. They didn't care whatsoever. At that time, there were no policies, but they just didn't care. They didn't do anything about it. And I realized, like, what recourse do I have at this time besides, reporting it, not frequenting this buffet any longer? It was very scary for me as a parent, for my little girls to come out of the bathroom and saying, there's a man in there. We know it's a man. Yes, this person has a wig on. Yes, this person may have lipstick on, but it is a man. That person could have hurt my daughter.
I have a coordination problem. I know I played collegiate sports, and I was looking at scholarships, but I still am a klutz at times, and I have this tripping habit, and sometimes I'll trip, and when I trip, I always lead with an elbow. So sometimes in those situations, I would probably walk over the table and have one of those tripping episodes and lead with an elbow and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir," or "ma'am," or whatever you go. But my
Let me tell
apologies.
you guys.
My apologies.
Mama Bear. I mean, it's just like how far do you want to go? Because I know what I could do. I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I will do if someone hurts my children, male or female.
Mm-hmm.
But for someone to violate my child's privacy, my daughter's privacy, and for there to be a policy in a place to allow this to happen, to support it, this is America.
Kayla,
I mean, it's
it's
sad.
getting even worse because not only are parents and children battling this transgender ideology that is being
Yeah,
shoved down our throats, they've taken it even a step further. They have now created furries, which are
yeah,
kids that identify as a cat or a dog or a
yeah,
horse or whatever. And there are schools now that are putting litter boxes in the
yes,
bathrooms for these
yes,
children to act like a cat or a dog or a donkey or whatever it is that they,
yes.
I guess, identify.
Huh.
What is becoming of our society? I know that the moral fabric, the moral
Mhm,
values, once you take God out of a nation and you take God out of
mhm,
your schools and you take God out of your homes and you take God out of your
mhm.
churches, this is what we have left. This is
Preach it,
what we
brother.
have left.
That's it. That's it. I'll tell you what's become of this nation. Godless.
Yes.
I'm crying out to God, and I said, Lord, if there's only a few, would you spare us?
Yes.
Rome. That's who we are. Modern day Rome. Powerful, wealthy, but we're crumbling from within. We're greedy, sexually immoral.
Mhm.
That's what's happening. Country rife with homosexuality, sodomy being legal in this country. That's what's happening, celebrating homosexuality. When
Mhm.
I saw then President Obama, light up the White House with rainbow colors, I knew we were in trouble. When he's making phone calls to basketball players that are coming out of the closet, congratulating them, but he's not calling, the man or woman who lost their child in combat, I know we have a problem in this country. So this is just all the Bible coming to fruition. It's calling us to fall to our knees. And it's really pointing us to what matters in this country. And what matters in this country right now is family. Because here's the thing, LW. If I can teach my daughter that she's beautiful and she's fearfully and wonderfully made, if I can stay married to my husband, I can decrease promiscuity with my children, with my girls. We have 5 girls and we have 1 boy. He can teach my son how to be a man.
Amen.
If we can keep our marriage together, which for me, right, because I was a single mom before I met my husband, the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, the hardest thing, I've been homeless. I was raised by an addict. I can go on about my testimony, and it's just one that would make you cry. And I'm sure you've heard it before. But the hardest thing that I've ever had to do was stay married. It's difficult. But I think about what could happen if I did not keep this covenant. What would happen to my daughters? What would happen to my son? Because guess what? This LGBTQ ABC plus community, they're saying to my kids, we'll welcome you with open arms.
Yes.
Come to us. We'll accept you. Who cares if your mother or your father is some religious nut, conservative, far right, whatever they want to call us. We'll accept you. You can be anything you want. You can be a cat. You can be a dog. You can be pansexual, bisexual, homosexual, whatever. All these different things are coming up with. But we will welcome you just as you are. And they capture them at the most impressionable age. So the best thing that we can do right now for our country, stay married, get married. Obviously, you don't want to go on like OkCupid and just find some random partner. But you know, I think feminism was probably the worst thing that happened to women. It really was. It really was. And so teaching women that you can be strong and independent, but you can still be subservient, subservient and submissive to your spouse. What does that look like? What am I teaching my daughters? Right.
Yeah.
And so these are the things that we have to do in our own homes first if we want to make an impact, because family dictates culture.
Amen.
right? And culture dictates society. So if you want to see how a nation is doing, take a look at their families. And we have a lot of broken homes right now. And so that's why that when I told you that I was going through a lot, like my family is being attacked. My children are being attacked. My marriage is being attacked. Every single day we're fighting. Every single day we're fighting on our knees just to make it work because the enemy is on my back. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I know the Lord. I know that I'm saved. And I know that, no weapons formed against me shall prosper. And I know that we have the power to trample upon serpents. He has given us so much power. During that meeting that we had, let me just go ahead and follow up with this. After the initial board meeting, I got all of our parents together and we said, okay, what's next for us?
Yeah.
Do we want to recall this entire school board or do we want to focus on taking their seats? Because we are in election. This is an election cycle for school board members where we have the unique opportunity to replace 3 of them and get the majority for pro-parental rights candidates. So I had another meeting, and that was, what is today, Tuesday?
Today is
Tuesday, right?
Yep.
Yesterday. So yesterday we had a meeting. It was very successful. A lot of people showed up, including my pastor at Caldwell Christian Church. He also spoke at the board meeting. It was an amazing speech. We got some really great minds together about the next steps, and I can share those with you off air. And then I can also direct some of your listeners to our page to join and tell them how they can support this movement right here in Caldwell. But my pastor stood up and he said, because we had one person and he shouted, he said, we should go to the homes of every school board member and protest. And then you had someone else that said, no, we shouldn't do that. And so everyone was just talking about their ideas and what they wanted. And my pastor stood up and he said, we're not wrestling against flesh and blood.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yes.
I look at these school board members and I see their face, I see their lips, their eyes, their nose, I see them walking, I see them talking, but I am not thinking about the spiritual force, the evil that's behind that. So we have to recognize the evil. It's much greater than what we can see. And we can't continue to fight something spiritual with something carnal. We
Amen.
Can't do that.
Amen.
So, and that's really hard because you see them and you just want to give them a hug.
You want to have a tripping episode.
Give them a nice hug.
So what did the group decide? Are you guys going to try to remove all of them, or are you going to focus on the 3 seats?
Yeah.
I think it's imperative that every person listening to this show tonight, please like the show, please subscribe to this show, but more importantly, please share this message out. And I know that we have a lot of people watching us here in the state of Idaho, and we want to rally the troops. We want to support KAYLA and the Caldwell movement there, and we need to get this out on all social media. You talk about we accept you. We talk about the trap that Satan has set for our children. I was just watching, and I don't watch regular news anymore. I'll catch a clip every once in a while when I'm doing research. My mom likes watching Channel 7 for the weather, but I'd rather go to the Weather Channel, and that way I don't have to watch the news. So I'm in there just 2 mornings ago. What comes up on Channel 7? Well, we accept you for who you are.
Yeah.
Right there on the old television, the rainbow colors. This is a news channel that I have watched for 2 decades, and I quit watching them ever since they started supporting COVID-19 and vaccines, and they supported the selected person who's in the White House right now and wouldn't report the truth. I quit watching them. So when I seen that pop up on the screen, that is the stuff that our kids are watching. Those are the traps set, like you said, to draw our kids in and say, hey, your parents are divorcing, or your parents are hard on you, or whatever, or your teachers are hard on you. We'll accept you for who you are. You can be whatever you want. And that's exactly what that ad said on television. We accept you for who you are, and you can be whatever you want. And I just went, wow, I just shook my head. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing right there in front of me.
And it's going to get worse. If I can, well, first off, let me just say, support LW, to your viewers, support LW and some of the local work that he's doing here on the ground. He's a patriot. He loves family. He loves God, and there's nothing better. So, support him by sharing it, support him financially. As far as our group is concerned, there's a few things that you can do. You can go to Power to Parent Union, Idaho, and you can take a look at what we're doing here. We'll keep you updated on what's happening in Idaho. And Power to Parent, it's the number 2, Power to Parent Union, Idaho. I'm the state director for Power to Parent Union, Idaho here. You can also follow my social media, just KAYLA Dunn. You'll know it's me because you'll see Black Conservatives Matter on my shirt, because Black conservatives do matter. What about us? They don't want to hear from us. We're just brainwashed, right? We're just whitewashed. So you can follow that, and so you'll know it's me. And then also we can send you an invite to Caldwell. So it's called Caldwell School District Parent Support Group. Caldwell School District Parent and Support Group. And that's the page where you have these amazing people on the ground who were there at the school board meeting, who was there at the school board meeting. Excuse my grammar. And they are doing a lot of work locally on the ground. So you can find us there as well. And if you need to get a hold of me, you can email me at dunn.idaho@powertoparent.org, dunn.idaho@powertoparent.org. But some quick advice for your viewers and everyone watching. What can you do? Support us any way that you can. Share the message. Show up. Pray. But more importantly, continue to talk to your children. Continue to love on your kids. Tell them how special they are. Be involved in those hard conversations with your children. Whatever, even if your child comes to you and say, I think I'm bi, have those hard conversations with your children. Don't let up on the discipline. Do not let up on the discipline with your kids. Take their phones away. You think the school's indoctrinating your kids, my friends? Let me tell you, Instagram is doing it as well. They have algorithms set up to target certain children, and they have an entire community of LGBTQ folk that will find your child and start bombarding them with messages. Take your children's phones, give them a Gab phone, and there's some other phones that you can buy where I think the kid's only able to talk or text, or you can even look at your cell phone plan to see if there's a parental app that you can use to limit who they talk to. We need to get back to basics in this country.
We need to get back to parenting.
Yeah. And that's been really hard, because what do? We give them a phone. I give my little 3-year-old YouTube, watch TV. Next thing you know, he's clicking. And what started off as Daddy Shark ended up with some, woman with her, chest exposed.
Well,
so
KAYLA,
we have to make sure.
Here's something that happened to Noah. So Noah's 10 years old, and I've had those hard conversations with him. I really try to leave those channels open. Matter of fact, he just talked to me 2 days ago about something that was uncomfortable for me, but he needed a safe place to come talk, and something was bothering him, and he brought it to me, and we had that hard conversation. So he was on YouTube watching his YouTube things, and I've taught my son, you need to bring me stuff that is not right. So he comes to me and he says, now listen to this, parents. He comes to me and says, Dad, look what popped up on the YouTube channel. There on the YouTube channel was red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and it says, "Are you gay?" quiz. Just so you parents know, they are targeting our children. So when your children is on YouTube and they're watching the shark cartoons and they're watching all this fun stuff, then the algorithm will put in front of them this video that says, "Are you gay?" quiz. Now, I took the phone and I took the quiz, and I went down through all the questions. Do you know that there was a study done on this exact video and this exact quiz? Does not matter how you answer the questions. It will tell you that you're gay.
You're gay. Wow.
I was gay. I took the quiz and I was gay.
Wow. Well, you know what? You are gay. You're gay happy.
I am very happy.
Not like gay, but you're just like, yay, Jesus, I'm happy. Gay old time. But I'm making light of it. That's scary.
It is very scary. It
You
is very
can't you can't
concerning
trust
as a parent.
you can't trust anything anymore. You know, you have to monitor everything. And I know it's frustrating. I know, I mean, we're frustrated. Like we're having to police everything. You know, we have a 17-year daughter. She's driving now. She's interested in boys, and we're policing everything. And you know what? I know there's sometimes where she hates us. Guess what? I don't care, because I'm not your parent to be your best friend. I'm your parent because God placed me in your life, because I know what's best for you. And I understand where you are. And I'm going to fight like hell for you before they capture my baby. That's not going to happen. And so we have to make sure that we're always on guard, that we're praying over our kids, that we're walking through our, you know, making sure we tuck our kids in bed at night. We don't know what they're doing or who they're going to be talking to online. I'm not going to sleep until you go to sleep. Like we have to be one step ahead. These are sweet, innocent children, but their brain is not fully developed. They're impressionable.
How is that?
You know how that is.
How is that young man of yours that I seen crawling all over the chair the last time we did a show? What a wild little man that you have there.
Goodness.
He is gonna be something else, man. I tell you what.
He is wild. He drives me crazy. I thought I wanted two boys, and then I realized, first of all, everyone talks about terrible twos. I don't want to speak that into existence, so I said terrific twos. And the twos were terrific, but then the threes happened. I call them the Thunder Threes. No one ever warned me that my son would just, you know, like I put him down for a nap. I go back in the room. His entire body is covered in paint. And guess what? Paint's all over the walls. He climbs up he is crazy. He's just, you know what? But he's just a boy, right? He is just running through the house with, you know, his little wooden swords and his Legos and his dinosaurs and his airplanes and trucks. But you know what? I'm raising an alpha male, and I'm just like, listen, you are a man. You are growing up to be a young man, and I'm going to do whatever I can to nurture that. And so I just accept it for what it is. It's driving me noodles. You know, my heart's always racing. Like he's so handsome, and he's just
a very
so
handsome
cute.
boy. Very handsome boy.
So handsome. He says, "I'm sorry, mommy. I'm sorry. I need you, mommy." So man, he's
got you wrapped around his finger already.
I love it. I'm
what's
blessed.
easier, Kayla? Girls or boys?
It all depends on what age. Right now, the boy is hard, but also because I have a 4-month-old, my youngest daughter. Mm-hmm. And now I have a 17-year-old, my eldest daughter that I gave birth to. And so, you know, I would say in the long run, girls, only because of their hormones and their emotions. And I understand that I'm a girl too. So now I understand how my husband feels when I'm talking a lot. And he's just like, shut up. He doesn't say it, but I can see his eyes. You know, my girls, they just back and forth. And then you deal with the teenage phase, where, you know, they have a little bit of an attitude, even if they don't mean to, and they're interested in boys. And so that's a little tough, you know, when it's your sweet daughter, right? You look at her as a little princess, and now there's a potential of her taking a mate and having sex and marrying, and that's a little bit too much to even think about, you know, because that was your little princess. My boy is wild right now. I don't know. I mean, he's my first son, my first and only son, as it stands. And so I don't know how that will be when he reaches, you know, the teenage phase. But I would say the girls are easier when they're younger, but man, they're going to give it to you once they're older. So be prepared.
Yeah, my baby turns 20 years old this December.
Wow.
She just graduated high school this last year. And then she packed up with her boyfriend, her mom, and her sister, and moved to North Dakota. So she's up there working in North Dakota, seems to love her job. And she turns 20.
Congratulations, by the way.
And I had to have the talk with her boyfriend that she's still with and has been for years. Mm-hmm. She turned 16. I had to talk with him, and you know, concerned dad. I just wanted to make sure that my daughter's treated with the utmost respect.
Did you take him hunting with you?
What's that?
Did you take him hunting? with
No,
you?
I just told him that I had been in jail before and I wasn't afraid to go back. So I seem to get the point across pretty quick, and I wasn't too harsh about it. I kind of like the kid. I think he's a really good kid, and he's working hard in North Dakota. So I wish him
That's
and my
beautiful.
daughter the best of luck, and I hope they're happy. And then my youngest daughter, she'll turn 18 in August and graduates high school here come I think what about May. And so
That's amazing.
I'll maybe be making a trip back to North Dakota because she's doing her senior year there. And then of course
Oh,
my
that's a
10-year-old,
blessing.
he's a wild man too. I remember when he was 2 and 3, he was crawling on everything and into everything too. So
Yeah,
when it
yeah.
comes to me, what's easier, boys or girls? Hmm. Sometimes boys, but I have to admit, I think the girls were a little bit easier because my son, he's too much like me and he'll just stare me down. He will. And
Oh,
I'm
challenging.
like, all right,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
you're gonna get it. Like I can still whoop you and I'll whoop you till the day I die. So
I
um
think it's like a rite of passage that boys do that. And obviously you're male, so it's coming from a male's perspective. My husband is having a hard time with my son as well, because even at 3, he does the same thing. He'll look at my husband and he'll say, no, and he'll
yep.
change his voice like he's roaring at him at that age. And so I think it's just a man raising another man. And so you're
But
going to
they
have
need
to,
that.
one day
The
they
girls,
do.
the girls need their mothers raising them
Yeah,
and their dads. They need their
they
dad.
do.
And I wasn't there for my girls. I was out on the road working. And that's
Right.
one thing I wish I could go back and be there every night for my girls, but that wasn't my path. My son, he needs his father, and boys need their fathers, but they also need their mothers too. So
You.
that's
Gentle
what is
comfort.
so key to this family that we're talking about. The moms and the
Yes.
dads have to be there. It's so important for
Yes.
the development of our children, for both parents to be in the home, for both parents to help raise the kids, for both
Yes, sir.
parents to do their part so that our kids will all grow up and be productive citizens and love and follow God's teachings and just be patriots and love their country. So that's very important.
And
And I think
and
by
we
the
should
time,
indoctrinate. And we should, and sorry to interject, but I hear some parents that are raising children nowadays, and they'll say things like, "Oh, let them go their own way and let them make their own choices when they're young and give them these options and blah blah blah." And listen, we should indoctrinate our children.
yes,
We should indoctrinate the heck
amen.
out of our children. They should be so indoctrinated that you think that they are in a cult. They don't
Yes,
even look you in the eye when they talk to you. That's what we need to do. We need to have them so firmly rooted in our faith and our beliefs and our morals, because if we don't, someone else will indoctrinate them, and that's what's happening right now.
man, I was going to ask you for final thought, but I think you hit the nail on the head right there. So here's my final thought as we wrap today up, and I truly appreciate you joining me, Kayla, and we'll talk off
Thank you.
air here in a minute. I think, and I agree with Kayla, that we need to indoctrinate our children. And here's something that maybe not all parents do. And I used to do it every morning in the Jeep before I dropped Noah off. I would actually, as we were turning the corner and coming into the school parking lot, I would break open in prayer and I would pray over my son before I let him out of that Jeep. And the funny thing
Yes, yes,
is if you do that on a routine basis, your children do learn. So there would
they
be
do.
a day or two every now and again where I'd go to pull into the parking lot and my son would look up at me and he goes, Dad, well, what about the prayer?
That's
Because
right.
he wanted that. He needed
That's
that.
right.
He knew that
That's
his
right.
father was praying a hedge of protection over him each and every day
Yeah.
before he went to school. And my final thought for tonight is you parents and you grandparents out there should be praying a hedge of protection around your children and your grandchildren each and every
Yeah.
day, not just when they leave to go to school, but whenever they go to do anything, when they go to hang out with their friends, they go to the movies, they go on a date, they go to a sporting event. It does not matter. We should be praying for our children each and every day and indoctrinating them with God's message and God's love.
Amen.
And that's my final thought for tonight. So thanks for joining us. Much appreciated. God bless each and every one of you guys out there. Please like, subscribe, and more importantly, share this message out. And we will keep updated with KAYLA Dunn and the Caldwell parents in this fight against the LGBTQ movement.
Thank you, LW.
Liberty Warrior Nation, if you missed it last time, it's back. The biggest bed sheet sale ever. The Giza Dream Sheets, the bed sheets as low as $29.99 using promo code LWN. You could save up to 50% off. Don't forget, Mike Lindell and My Pillow have some of the best products out there. He has My Coffee, My Slippers. He's got bedding for dogs. He's got the bath towel sets. Lots of great products out there for every patriot. And if you'd like to support Mike Lindell in return, supporting him also supports me here at LWN. Like I said, use promo code LWN. You could save up to 50% off the Giza bed sheets, $29.99.
Hoping for a sincere performance, but open to finding the moment, to finding out where I'm headed now. Looking for a sign of disaster, so I can make it there faster. I'm weighing the consequences out. I can see in all directions. It's all open to interpretation, but I see colors that are breaking from the other side, the other side. When I make mountains out of summer trails, when I buckle under all the details, I'll keep going till I make it to the other side, the other side. Can you tell me the secret of how you can take it or leave it? How you can blend in with the crowd? I'm so scared, so damn afraid to look. I'm so sick of talking. I'm wearing the words out, words out. I can see in all directions. It's all open to interpretation, but I see colors that are breaking from the other side, the other side. When I make mountains out of summer trails, when I buckle to get me. I see the river on the back of my